All right, Tim Sykes here. What a difference a day makes. I don't even know where to begin. I guess I'll start with this news that the U.S. is ending policy that let legal pot flourish. This came out right before the market opened. Pot stocks have been so hot lately, and I was actually long one overnight. I don't like chasing, so I actually took one of the least overextended plays. But it doesn't matter. You know, when there is news like this, I think this came out like, what, 10, 15, 20 minutes before the market opened. This crushes all the pot stocks equally. And the best you can do is try to minimize losses. And I did a really, really good job. I actually finished up a few $100s with the morning trades. I am out of day trades, so I'm going to have to do overnight trades for the rest of the week because I am trading with a small account this year of just a little over 12,000. But now already in 2017 or 2018, I have grown it by roughly $1,000. Not perfect trading, uh, but pretty good loss containment on CBDS. Actually, really good. This was the best, probably the best trade I've done this year, the best trade I've done in a while. Even though I lost money, I lost roughly $8. Here is CBDS now down 23%. This was the chart I was buying yesterday. It was a nice, very nice breakout. I gave a webinar to my challenge students talking about how I don't really like buying, this is kind of like day three after it's, up from 6 all the way to the 9. So I don't like buying that, but it also was a nice breakout above the previous high of the 8s. And if you look at some of the other, pot stocks, this too had a big breakout, and, ignore the fact that they're all crashing today. This is just due to that news. But this was, CANN was more overextended. CNBX, this was more overextended, and now they're just getting taken out and shot. But I chose CBDS not because I love trading $9 stocks with a small account, but because it was the least overextended. And it was up to the 970s after hours and pre-market today. Coulda, woulda, shoulda, probably gotten out. It's tough to get executions on OTC stocks pre-market and after hours. Technically, they're not supposed to trade, but trades do sneak through. And I just couldn't get out. So the first thing I did today was, sell. When you have negative news like that, it's not like, oh, maybe the news will affect the stock, maybe it won't. It's like, hide your wives, hide your kids, like protect your ass. It doesn't matter how good the chart is. When, you have legalized pot, right, which is already questionable, and then you have this news break and the headline is going to end policy that let legal pot flourish. I mean, it's also, if you read the article, I mean, it's not even official yet. It's just according to two sources, which is the minimum required for an article. The journalist needs two sources. So it's very, very speculative news, but this is a very, very speculative sector. So, of course, the news is going to be speculative. Anyways, the news crushed the stock. I cut my losses quickly. That's the main lesson there. CANN just keeps dropping down 28% now. CNBX, which I actually dip bought. I do like dip buying these morning panics, but it's tough with this news. So a lot of you guys want like these rules that just work all the time. Like, okay, if it's this pattern, then you buy. If it's this pattern, you don't buy. It's all trying to judge the situation. The pattern here is perfect, but the news is really, really bad for this sector. It's a sector-wide kind of news, and that's why they're all down 20, 30%. So I got a little bounce on CNBX. One of these bounces, I don't even know which one. I think it might have been, was it the first one? Yeah, I think it was the first one that I got the bounce on. Or actually, I didn't even sell into the first bounce. I saw the first bounce, then it came down, and then it kind of double bottomed, and I got out on the second bounce. Long story short, these stocks aren't bouncing very much. They're also up a ton. So maybe tomorrow, maybe later today, maybe somebody will come out and say this news is false, or I don't know what can happen. They are potential dip buys, but right now you just have very overextended pot stocks that are getting crushed. Look at Nugs. Nugs, Nugs. Okay, this one actually is bouncing nicely. The bounces aren't perfect. This was just true panic from 5.7 down to 2.7. And now you have a nice little 70 cent a share bounce. This is tough to play. When you have lower lows, lower highs, you think this bounce is going to work, you think this bounce is going to work, and neither of them do. So you give up on the third bounce, and the third bounce is the one that works. So it's kind of tricky. All you can really do is A, if you're long, protect yourself. B, congratulations if you're short. I had a few people in my chat room who were short. Where was it? Too many people these days. Where was it? Oh, I congratulated Michael Mason. Covered half of CANN for 1,700 in profits. Interactive Brokers had shares to short yesterday. I don't know if they had shares to short today, but I'm guessing Michael Mason took some of those shares to short on CANN. Good job. Also, Mila CD on CNET in at 282, sold for a $217 profit. CNET is up to the threes. There was one other trade. Oh, Leka in and out on Nugs for 644. So good job, Leka. This is my challenge students. These are my most dedicated students. So I'm proud of them studying and testing. There was one more person who had a really nice profit I want to congratulate. I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot of plays, and the lesson here that you can learn. Oh, Lozenpool just made nearly 50 cents on FTFT. That's in play again too. The main lesson that you can learn from these plays is A, if you're long overnight and there's negative news on a speculative sector, you just cut your losses. I lost a penny a share on CBDS. I actually got a really good execution on the exit because these stocks are not always easiest to sell. And some of you guys are asking me already, like, how did I sell so quickly? What limit price did I use? I used a limit price of 9, and I got out. I was willing to lose. I was in at like 9.18, 9.19, 9.19 to be exact. So I was willing to lose like 20 cents. The bid was not at 9. I just gave it extra leeway just to, in case it was started dropping quickly. In hindsight, I probably should have used like 8.80 and not tried to care about 10 or 20 cents a share. I only had 500 shares, so we're talking about $100. You just want to protect against this. If you have a small account, and you have 500 shares and you lose $1 a share or you lose $2 a share, a $500 or $1,000 loss really hurts. I lost $8. It does not hurt at all. And I made it back with my CNBX dip buy already. So I still made a few $100s. When you have a small account, your whole goal is to try to make a few $100s. You're trying to get closer to the magical pattern day trader rule limit of 25,000, and then you can be free. And some of you guys will say, well, Tim, why don't you just do an offshore broker? Then you don't have the pattern day trader rule. I don't trust offshore brokers. I don't think anybody should. They're just as speculative as these pot stocks, except you're putting your money with them. And if something goes wrong, there's no FDIC insurance. So I'm not using offshore brokers. I use E-Trade and Interactive Brokers. I got to write a whole blog post about what I'm trading with this year in 2018. But I just want to play nice and safe when I have a small account. And the pattern day trader rule is actually good. It forces you to learn good habits and discipline. And, you can kind of use it as like training mode, until you get to 25,000. All of this is training mode. Whether I make or lose a few $100s, it doesn't matter. It's just practicing good habits and cutting losses quickly, and then that stuff really matters and really is amplified. The consequences of whether you learn it or you don't learn it is amplified once you get over 25,000, because then you're dealing with big money. And if you haven't learned to cut losses quickly, then forget about losing the difference between losing $8 or $1,000. If you're trading with bigger accounts, the difference between being able to cut losses quickly and being disciplined or not, you might lose 1,000 or lose 20,000. So it's good to be in training mode. Once upon a time I bought some jet skis and they had this training mode that was required, for you to drive them at first in the training mode and get used to them. And I kind of compare that with trading under 25,000. I like being under the pattern day trader rule. That said, It's my goal to get out of it. But I have to prove to myself that I can get out of it. I would much rather you guys start with $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 and learn how to make 10, 15, 20,000. Learn how to grow your account exponentially rather than starting with 20,000 and trying to make just a little bit of money and then getting out of the training zone. The more training you have, the better. And it's tough to train once you have big money because you're focused on making money. Like that's what this game is all about, right? But because of my training, I really executed CBDS well. CNBX, I got a little bounce. I mean, just look at this. Let me just show you the watch list right now. Yesterday, I mean, during the challenge webinar, I was marveling the fact that there were 24 weed stocks that were up 20, 25, 30, 50, 100, 200% on the day. Now it's a total change where you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 stocks down more than 10%. Even as bad as this is, it's not as bad, compared to yesterday's good stuff. It was actually pretty crazy how well these stocks are still holding up. Yesterday there were, I think, 18 or 20 stocks that are up 20, 25% or more. And now, I mean, some of them are getting destroyed, like Nugs and POTN and CMBX and Buds. All these weed stocks are getting destroyed. Wow, look at CBDS. It just keeps going. I read in the chat room, one guy was like, I didn't sell, so now I'm just going to ride it. Bad choice. There's no riding this, okay? If you think of this stuff as like shit, which you should, all of these companies are shit. I'll make a crude analogy that all shit goes down the toilet eventually. And you're going to try to ride that wave? I really would not, try to do that. I've learned one extraordinarily valuable lesson over the years, and that is cut losses quickly when you're wrong. And when you have news like this is a game changer, okay, for a speculative stock. This is not a game changer. This is not going to break the legalized pot industry forever. This is a game changer for today. This is a game changer for this latest round of spiking. And you have to recognize that. And the sooner you recognize that, the better. Whether you lose a penny like I did, best case scenario, or you lose 20 cents or 50 cents, just don't lose $1 or $2 or $3 a share and go down with everything else. It pisses me off. I did an article, let me see this. What was it? Let's see, Buying High. They changed the ticker, or they changed the web address. MJ Sykes 2. It was for Men's Journal, and they changed their whole website around. So I think I had to change my little bit.ly link that I saved it. It was so nice and easy for me to save. Look how bad my Wi-Fi is. I can't even do this. This is another thing. Like, I'm not on good Wi-Fi right now. Here it is. So when you're not on good Wi-Fi, you have to be very careful. No, I don't want to watch your stupid ad. This was a few years ago. Buying High, How to Get Rich on Pot Stocks. And it was me versus this guy who had fallen in love with pot stocks, saying, this is the future. It's always going to do well. And it just didn't. And it flamed out. And the reporter was there. This reporter actually followed both of us around for several months. So this was a fantastic story. And I encourage you all to read it. I'll link it underneath this video. But too many people get confused with, a hot sector, and they think that hot sector is the future. And that's how they invest. They ride the wave. And, if you believed in blockchain or Bitcoin, you believe in it, and, you're rewarded not just with 100 or 200% wins. You're up like, some people are up 50 times, 100 times their money. If you believe in something, that is the secret. The problem is that now blockchain, Bitcoin, and weed are all up a tremendous amount. So if you believe in it this late in the game, it's very dangerous. And that's why you see these stocks dropping 20, 30, 40, 50% in a day. And you don't need to hold through that. It blows my mind how many people hold through this stuff because they feel like they're married to this stock or they're married to these sectors. And this happened, this was in 2014. Almost every single pot stock that was hot back then went bust. Okay? It doesn't matter if legalized pot is a booming or fast growing industry. these individual penny stocks, these individual little pieces of shits are not going to make it. There might be one out of, 500 plus pot stocks that I'm watching that will make it. And the odds of you finding that one are literally 1 in 500, or probably even less, because it's so random and you don't know, what it's going to take to actually make it. You might have a company with a terrible CEO and terrible management, but for some reason they get a patent, or some reason, their stupid product takes off. If you remember, what is it? True Religion Jeans. They used to be a stock, TRLG. They got acquired, but they started out as a Vancouver pump and dump. And the jeans actually took off. They were pumping up these piece of crap jeans, and True Religion Jeans actually, made it. There was no indication whatsoever that that company would make it. Out of all the pump and dumps that I've ever traded, 99.9% of them have crashed. So there's no way that you could have guessed that True Religion would make it. It was just a fashion statement. And it was kind of funny. I don't know if they still have it, but True Religion had a retail store right on Wall Street for no reason. Literally right on Wall Street in New York City. True Religion Jeans. And I think it was just a statement to be like, we were, a pump and dump and we made it. So we're going to put our office, not even an office, a retail store on Wall Street, which is just ridiculous. But the reason why I bring this up is too many of you guys don't cut losses. Too many of you guys go down with the ship. Too many of you feel like you have to hold. You don't have to hold. And I wish I could come through this computer or smartphone, however you're watching it, and tell you, you can avoid this pain. You can avoid this stress. I was totally 100% wrong to be long a weed stock overnight. I got a little unlucky with the news, but that's what happens. When you hold overnight, there's the risk of overnight news. So in hindsight, I should not have chased. I should not have, felt guilty missing out. This is another thing. You feel guilty missing out on a hot sector. You have FOMO, fear of missing out. And so I let my FOMO get to me where I shouldn't be buying a $9 stock. I shouldn't be buying a stock like CBDS, that's up that much. Even if there was no news. Like I got a little too over aggressive. So this is a good wake-up call for me too. But despite the wake-up call, despite being wrong, I lost a penny a share because I managed my losses and I had the right mentality going into this. So many other people, CBDS, IMLFF, CANN, FFRMF, MSRT, POTN, CMBX, BUDS, BUDZ, and UGS. All of these pot stocks, I guarantee, have too many investors, as if they're serious people, who are, trying to ride the waves, and they think that this is what the stock market and penny stocks, this is the price of doing business. You have to ride the 20, 30, 40, 50% intraday losses. And that's bullshit. You just don't. You're making it more stressful. You're making it harder than it has to be. And you're making, me and penny stocks look bad. This is not penny stocking. You do not have to take a 30 or 50% loss. I can't remember the last time I took a 30 or 50% loss. I've been very good at cutting losses. Let me actually see. Let's see, the past year. So I made roughly $250,000 the past year. My biggest percent gains, ITKG, WLKR, SRAX, FFRMF. This was a 30% winner the other day. PGSY, ENVV. Now let's look at my biggest percent losses. You can click this and see the losses. So this was my biggest loss, shorting, obviously, because I suck at shorting. I lost lately in this market. I lost 13%. That was my biggest loss, and that was roughly a year ago. Also, iHeart, I got a little stubborn on this. This was in my long-term newsletter, and I lost 13%, and I held this for like 2 weeks. So 13% is pretty much my max. INOD, I got long, lost 11%. So that's my max. And even that, these are in my longer term newsletter. You don't have to risk losing 11%. If you have a small account, protect your account. So if you understand the lesson in this video, please do say that. Leave a comment underneath this video saying, I will protect. 3 words. And if you keep that mentality in mind on all your trades, you will protect. And You don't have to sit through a 50% loss on a junk play like Nugs. Thank you. I'll see you in the chat room.